Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of Joe and Matty Talk New
19.
York Sports. And we got a lot on the table today for three
Yeah.
of our teams. And it's
Yes.
been it's been a while since we sat down and talked about it. So a lot's gone on in their early seasons for the Knicks and Rangers, and the Giants have kind of like picked up where we left off. Like the last time we talked about them, it's
You
kind
know
of
what I
been the
saw about the
similar stuff.
Giants, which is kind of pathetic, that the 3-6 is like the best start since 2016. I didn't know when did we like. I never grew up feeling we were a loser franchise. We're a total loser franchise right now.
I don't
What
know
the
what
hell?
they have.
I feel bad for you because I enjoyed lots of great years with awesome talent. Oh
I
my
thought they were
god!
gonna bring back Odell. If I was honest with you, I
No
thought
way. There's no way he would come back. Why would you bring that?
I.
I
But to
can't
be honest,
believe
I
the
think
Rams. He went to the Rams though with a crowded field of people. Let me turn the light on. I look like a ghost here.
he's gonna divide the Rams. Like he's gonna create
I
a
don't think he'll do
division.
anything. I mean, they don't need him to do anything. It's a luxury, so I think he'll be fine and he'll be quiet and not a
I think the
hassle. I
only
just don't
place
think
he
he'll
can
get a
play
lot
in.
of touches. I think they'll run a couple plays for him, and
Yeah.
if those plays don't hit, he may have a game with nothing. If those games do
Well,
hit,
that's because, in my opinion, the Rams are the best wide receiver in the league, and who's luckily on my fantasy team, Cooper Cup, with
well, that's how
twenty point
everyone
eight
determines their
projected
best.
points.
Yeah, their best wide receiver is always the guy scoring them. But he is. He's having an incredible year. Um,
He's had two 40-point games for me this year, and that's rare with a wide
he's
receiver.
on an incredible pace. I don't get to see enough Ram games to know if it is truly him or it's just their offense. He's the wide open guy in their offense. Who
Yeah,
knows? But we got on a Giants tangent. That's not where we wanted to start. Correct?
yeah.
We want to start with the Knicks. Yes.
It's. I think there's a little bit of what do you say? Like we didn't really know what to say for a second because the Knicks are kind of in the middle a little bit. They're 7-5, but they
Totally
should
safe.
be. They
I'm
should
totally
have a
happy
better
with seven.
record.
I'm totally happy with 7-5. If you would have given me that option, 12 games before the beginning of the season, I would have taken it. The frustrating thing is they've looked so good sometimes, and then it's like, hey, what the heck happened this night? Like, how are they so cold? I think Rose looks awesome, and I think him starting may have to become a reality, um,
Mhm.
because yeah, what? I hate to say it, but Kemba Walker hasn't looked good. You know,
Yeah, and
he had
the
the
Knicks
one
have.
game where you thought he was going to bounce back, but he hasn't looked good. Um, I do like Toppins look better.
Oh,
Quickly's
I
looked better the
love
last
the
couple.
dunks from
Although
Toppin.
Quickly's defense has been terrible. He runs back to the
It
3-point line, and he's all over the place. And you saw when the Knicks lose, they're giving up wide open threes. That happened in the game to
his
Orlando.
jump
That
shots are
happened
like
against Milwaukee. Yeah,
his
his
jump
jump
shots like
shot.
the ugliest thing I've ever seen, but it works sometimes. So
Randall's been the guy lately. Noel comes in, gets hurt.
I
Mitchell
don't
Robinson.
even like him. He can't
He,
score. The hook shot
he,
is like
they don't
impossible for
need
him
him
to
to
hit.
score enough. He has no part of the scoring. Look. The ball is going to go to Randall first. Then I think R.J. Barrett, who I know you have some because you're from North Carolina, not a Duke fan, but R.J. Barrett has looked great this year. He looks like a serious scoring threat. So the ball goes to him. Then you kick it out, and it's Fournier or one of the guards to take a 3-pointer. So they don't need scoring out of their center. They need defense and rebounding. Mitchell Robinson and Noel both do that at a high level. It's just they're both fragile or unlucky, one or the other.
Yeah, it's the Knicks have looked good, but they've been atrocious at home. Like losing their second home game to the Magic at home, one of the worst teams in the league. Losing to the Raptors and the Cavaliers at home, and those are
The
good teams.
Cavaliers game, they didn't even look like they were alive.
Those are good teams, but at home, those are games that we're now saying, well, the Knicks are a good team, and they have a loud crowd at home, so they should be winning those games,
Yeah.
especially the Magic game. But you
I
always
mean,
could look back
you're
on
going to
that.
have those duds in the season. I mean, they're sitting, it's too early to even talk about standings, but they're sitting at 7-5.
That's okay.
The
To start,
Bulls were
that's okay.
expected to be there. The Nets were expected to be there. The Sixers are expected to be there. Maybe
Where are
not.
the Nets? We beat the Sixers twice.
I know, and they had to beat the Sixers, I think, in 9 times on the road and some other crazy thing.
Well,
You
that's
know,
what I don't get. Why are the
the
Knicks
Hawks
playing
are
like
doing terrible though.
I pull up? Why are you look at the Knicks
That's
win
the
this year?
NBA. That's in the
Like
NBA.
they've
If you
beaten
don't play defense, you're gonna lose.
the Knicks wins have been the Celtics, the Magic. Celtics have been horrible to start, and the Magic aren't good.
No, the Magic.
But they've beaten the Sixers at home. That's good. The Bulls on the road. That's good. Pelicans not impressive.
Yeah.
The Bucks on the road, very impressive. They came back huge in
Yeah,
that game. Beat the Sixers. And they're up by 12 in the first quarter against the Hornets with 28 points scored, and Kemba Walker has 17 points. So
wow, talk about eating crow over here, saying Kemba Walker wasn't doing well.
he
Like,
needed this. He's. But I tell you what, though, I like him, even though he's not good. I like the
like
New
it too.
York stuff.
I
I
know
love
Tom Thibodeau.
Toppin.
I know Thibodeau made the speech the other day talking about it's enough. Like they don't need that. That's just coach speak. He's trying to motivate them into like all playing together. Who, by the way, I love Tom Thibodeau. He is everything I want
Oh
to coach.
my! For the
Except a
rest of it,
bad haircut. Jeepers Christ! Just shave that thing. That is terrible. What
him
is
and
he?
Rose lock him down for the career. I love Derrick Rose. For
Yeah.
Christmas, I'm wishing for a Derrick Rose jersey because I love Derrick Rose, and I don't care that he hasn't been the Knicks his whole career. But that's the only guy that I want a jersey
Yeah,
that's
well,
on the
it's
Knicks
funny.
right
When he
now.
left the Knicks the first time, I was not too happy with him, but I agree. He is one of my favorite players. I love Julius Randle. I think I liked what he's saying. Like he put the onus on him, and then he came back and really played well. I agree. Toppin's looking better. I feel like they need to find a way to get him more involved, though. Like
It
he
seems
gets
like
all layups and dunks
it's
because
all.
he's so speed, but
He can shoot the three. He can
yeah,
shoot the
but
three.
I feel like they don't really. That just happens at the end of the shot clock. Like they don't.
Yeah,
He's never the focus of the shot. It's always like I don't know, like running. He's run past everyone, or it's super high paced. I don't know. Well,
yeah. I mean, Obi Toppin owns. There's in my Knicks memory. There's probably two moments that have really been like, holy cow! Like with that team, and I have those a lot with my other team because they start out pretty low and they're working their way up as one of my favorites in New York. But I would have to say the first one would be the game we went to where Melo hit the I guess you call it a fadeaway with like 0.3 seconds left to go ahead of the Sixers. Gross. And I loved Melo. Not a fan of him anymore on the Lakers. I think, but that's a different story. But
I don't care. Melo he wanted to come to New York, and that was
he
great.
always wanted to
Brought
play
energy,
with
but he wasn't.
LeBron. He always wanted to play with LeBron, and I don't like LeBron. So
Well, he always. I don't worry about Carmelo. He's not one of my like all-time favorite players. He was good for New
no.
York, but he's not a. He wasn't
But they weren't
he
like
needed to win the title. He wasn't a
yeah.
Messier. He was a solid good player, but he wasn't the level he thought he was,
Yeah.
where he could carry an entire team.
Yeah.
Or maybe he
And
didn't think
that second favorite moment was last year in the playoffs when that alley oop to Obi Toppin in game 2 and where Mike Breen said like it's bedlam at the Garden, which is like
Oh,
so
yeah, Mike
like
Breen is unbelievable. Like it's frustrating that he doesn't get to do as many Knicks games because they're never on the
because they don't make the
prime time.
playoffs. That's gonna change
But
this year. I'm very convinced that the Knicks, even with when they look bad, I'm very convinced they're a playoff team. If
and
they don't make the playoffs, it's disappointing, in my opinion, this year.
100%. I think they'll be because of their coach. They will get unless like injuries totally derail them, but they are a deep team. They could survive a stretch of injuries, but
And they're better than they were last year. Even though other teams got better, they're to me significantly better.
yeah, I think I agree with you. I think they are a better team too. People just didn't think the year 2 improvement, and they didn't think Fournier, and they thought the defense would be a problem, but they're playing team defense. As long as they need either Noel or Robinson to be healthy, someone's got to play defense for this team. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. And
Very
rebound.
offensive. They give up a lot. They give up.
No, they're
They've
a good
given up
defensive
some.
team. I bet they're one of the better defensive teams in the league. You hear, and I'm
It's
going
kind
off
of
of hearing
sloppy.
guys like Randall say they're keeping teams under 100, which in today's basketball is crazy.
What I love with Randall, and I never really realized from like watching in the court because I saw some pictures outside of the court. He's huge. Like he's a massive guy,
And he
and
plays like a guard.
not calling him fat, but he's got some weight on him. And when you see
He does not.
nudges that
He's
when
thick. He's not nowhere near fat.
well, yeah, like well, you know what I mean. Like he can muscle his way on guys, and those little guys have no chance on him when he's doing that fadeaway shot. It's just whether he can hit it, and he's good. I think it's great that we've noticed that last year wasn't a fluke. That he really is what last year was. It's just he hit a bump in the playoffs, and because they relied on him too much.
And he went and worked at it, and I think he got better, and I don't think it will happen again. I'm trying to look up the defensive ranks, but I don't even understand what I'm looking at right now. According to this, the Knicks are 7th, but I have no idea what the heck that means.
At the end of the first quarter, the Knicks are up 34-18 on the Hornets.
We'll take that.
And then Kemba Walker's the leading scorer for the Knicks, 17 points. And Gordon Hayward.
Aren't you a huge Hornets fan?
Oh, God.
Your brother's.
It's not even like it's not. Yeah. Well, he'll be going to a lot of those games.
Yeah, bandwagon getting that up.
He went to the Panthers game last weekend versus the Patriots, and the Panthers are in shambles. I mean, they lost 24-6 to the Patriots. And it was like,
I mean, they just brought in Cam Newton.
People are like, well, I've had some of my friends are like, oh, the Giants could get Christian McCaffrey. The last thing I want is another star running back that's never on the field.
Yeah, exactly. That you're paying a fortune to do nothing. I mean,
I don't even want, but like, I'm saying right now, if not to go to the Giants, if after this bye week when they play the Bucks on Monday night, an extra day, if Barkley, Shepard, and Slayton or Galladay, whoever hasn't been healthy, if they're not healthy, like what's going on? Like, the Giants are they're interesting, and I think it's.
I mean, the injuries are bad.
Not to start on them. They're just a weird team.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I like this new guy, Quincy Roach, that they got from the Steelers. Huge sack last game. That was awesome to happen. Like, he looks like he's got some serious
They've got some good defenders. And I think
the linebackers.
Well, isn't Martinez out for the year or something?
Yeah, that is hurting. I feel like how many games do you go through and you just don't even hear their names mentioned?
They need like a massive edge rusher or a guy like Clay Matthews or Kuechly.
Oh my! Caroline heard you said that you'd be in big trouble. She is not a Clay Matthews fan.
He's good.
Nah, they need an LT.
What does she think about all this Aaron Rodgers like stuff? Not about the political part of it, but like the stuff he said about the Bears. Like, I still own you. Like,
you think I bring that up? What are you, a crazy person? That's not a topic we discuss.
I don't like him. The only guy I like on the Green Bay Packers, there's two guys, Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. That's it. I love Aaron Jones.
Both those guys are awesome. Yeah, and they were both great fantasy guys. I always was a big Aaron Jones fan.
There's one guy, and I want to see if you can guess. There's one Giants guy that I love in fantasy. I want to see if you can guess.
Please don't tell me Evan Ingram.
Oh no, it's Graham Gano. Graham Gano's the most consistent fantasy guy. He picked up 18 points.
When you talk about fantasy, you don't talk about kickers.
I know, but like my kicker outscores everyone besides Justin Tucker. Like my kicker, the second week against Washington, Gano had 18 points. He outscored half of my team with that, which is embarrassing. But
yeah, but you don't want your kicker. Your kicker shouldn't make that big of a difference.
Actually, that's not true. I have Kadarius Toney, and I think I don't know why they throw one target to him.
Because I think he's hurt. I think he was hurt.
He is the exact thing the Giants need to wake up the fan base. Like
it was energy. Like when the rookie year of Odell, when all of a sudden like just explosive plays. Like you see when the ball hits his hands and that there's fear in the defense as to where is he going because he's just so quick with that first step. But he's been hurt. He's got bad ankles, so it's hard to do these things on a bad ankle. So this bye week, I think, is really important for the Giants. You get your left tackle back. You move Pert to right tackle. Nate Solder's goodbye. I mean,
Why do the
feel
Giants
bad.
always do this? Like they get
No,
guys.
I feel bad. Like that was a terrible signing by Gettleman, but he had to take the year off for COVID for his family, so you probably like lost a lot.
Wasn't Gettleman's first bad signing.
No, I think
Why is he still here?
because look, you want to not appear like you're a completely unstable like now you're in the workforce, right? And you go to work. If they fired your boss every 3 months, wouldn't you be like, what the heck is going on here? This is chaos. Why would I want to work here? Like if you want to encourage, see that what the Steelers like, they keep the coaches forever, and they have a very successful long run. The Cowboys tried doing it for a while. The Giants want to do that, but they haven't had the name since Coughlin. They've had a lot of mistakes.
Well, that's what I think. I'm not gonna hit Joe Judge or like blame anything on him, but I miss Coughlin. I miss a coach like
Yeah, but
Coughlin
the
a
fans were
lot.
the ones who pushed Coughlin out the door, and Joe Judge is the same mold, a more modern mold than Coughlin. But Coughlin got pushed out of Jacksonville too. Sometimes you just wear on people.
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah. I
the
do have to
same
make a
story
note.
gets told. It's
Yeah.
tough for coaches to evolve, like constantly, and that's the hard part. Like with your job, someone's got to start dealing with different people, different offenses, different defense, things that change, and you got to adapt. And if you only look for someone who's got one way of doing things, you better be awesome. Like Bill Belichick does things one way, but who could argue with his winning? All the other guys are like, I think it's the reason a lot of the Patriots coach go and fail. Like you go into Detroit and you're like, oh yeah, you're going to do it my way, and and the players are like, who are you? Like just because they're giving all the credit to Bill Belichick. So these coaches go in there and no one wants to. These players don't want to listen to him.
Yeah, and
Especially now, the players are going to be millionaires before they even get in the NFL because they're going to get paid in college. So the desire to listen to a coach that they don't want to is, this is not their first check.
Before we move on from the Giants, I do have to give some credit to Daniel Jones. He's playing pretty scrappy.
He's always played scrappy, and now you're
He's
noticing.
just not. No. He's never played like this though. Like this way he's played this year is we haven't seen that. That's a different, and it's. I mean, he's been screwed by his team a couple of times in Washington and stuff, but to me, he hasn't really played a bad game besides the Rams, and I think it's important for him
because the offensive line destroyed him in that game.
His job's still up for grabs at the end of the year, so I think he has to play like this for the rest of the year.
All right, so here's the question: you have the option to keep Daniel Jones next year due to his contract. You don't have. He has no say. You could just re-sign him for on the rookie deal.
Not a lot of money.
Who else would you replace him with? There is no one. And are you going to start with a rookie and do another 3-year experiment?
I would say if he doesn't end the year well,
what if he stays consistent to do what he's doing right now?
I sign him, and then I draft a quarterback in the 3rd round to foster below him.
Okay, so how many 3rd-round quarterbacks have been really successful in the NFL?
Brady.
What was the last quarterback the Giants grabbed in late rounds? I think he got in a car accident in Hoboken or something, and now is out of the league. I can't think of his name, but there's not many of those guys. Fans always want to grab these guys in the late rounds and be like, just scoop up a quarterback. How about Justin Love or the Packers backup? That didn't work out too. Jordan. Yeah,
and the Chiefs' defense is horrible too. Like it's not even
hard. It's very hard. Look at Sam Darnold. Oh, when he leaves the Jets, he's going to be great in Carolina. 2 games in, everyone's like, "Oh, he's awesome." He stinks. He's probably going to be a backup quarterback the rest of his life.
Horrible. There's no way that he starts another game all year.
Yeah.
And literally,
2 of them pushing him out the door. Please, we're not going to reference Stephen A. Smith.
No, but he said something really good. The only reason the Panthers picked up Cam Newton was to sell tickets.
Yeah, of course.
Cam Newton's not a good quarterback.
He wasn't the best quarterback available to them. Not that trading for Joe Flacco.
Yeah, honestly, I think it is. I think it's better than Darnold to have Newton right now because honestly, I don't even know. Who would want to go to Carolina? Like, it's not.
You live down there. You tell me.
I know, but it's like it's not like I don't know what's opposed.
I think they have to do something about. I think they have to level the playing field with teams that play in high tax markets versus low tax markets, because it's not the team's fault. Teams that play in New York,
Yeah.
teams that play in
Well,
California,
that seems
players,
like
why would they want to go
a
there?
sport problem.
That's
That seems
no,
like a sport
no.
problem.
That's what I'm saying. Like an
Because
industry, if you have a salary cap, right? Say it's $100 in
yeah.
Texas, like the players going to get a lot more money for their contract than they are in New York because they don't have to pay tax on it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we're talking a significant amount of money. Like these kind of contracts would be 40% of your money goes away, 30% of your money that goes away. So they should make the salary cap for teams with high tax on a prorated basis higher. I know that's a little bit
Yeah.
ridiculous to talk about, but to try to make it even. Otherwise, players are always going to go. Like, if you can make $40 million and
That's
keep $40
interesting.
million, like if I
Yeah.
don't want to go to Texas, okay, but hypothetically, if I'm
You
a
make
free
more money.
if I'm a free agent and the the Yankees we have to leave out of it, or we'll say a California team, say the Angels come to me and say we'll give you $40 million, $45 million, and Texas comes to me and the Rangers and they say we'll give you 40. That 40 is a lot more money than the 45 in California after taxes. Like a lot more money. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll go to Texas, unless there's some big decision you have to make. Like, obviously, like I would take less money to go to the Yankees and still get taxed, but that's a different story because we're weirdo fans.
But at the end of the day, all this money that they're making, you could still live a great life and have leftover. Like
100%. That's why you
this,
see veterans, once they've signed the deal, that they'll go to play for their hometown team, or they'll go take less to play for a championship, because once you've made that generational money contract where look, if you sign for
yeah.
$300 million, I'd be like, all right, Matty, yeah, thanks, I'm going to retire with you.
And I think on the note of contracts, I think that's a good transition to talk about my favorite team on planet Earth that I love with all my heart, and that's still the only team that I will cry. I will literally cry if they lose in the playoffs this year,
Don't know,
and
cry.
that's the Rangers.
Never
And
cry in sports.
interesting, we haven't talked. I think Adam Fox was signed before or after the last time we talked. I think Zibanejad was already signed after or before the last time we talked. But I think Fox was signed after the last time we talked. So we haven't talked about Fox being signed. Greatest decision ever. It's the right move and it's paying off. Point leader on the team.
Yeah.
But not even on that note, the Rangers have kind of had a little like weirder start than the Knicks. Actually, no, they're 7-3-3, and they're not playing their best hockey, and that's incredible that they're 7-3-3, and they're starting a soft part of the schedule, and they kind of had a hard part of the schedule on the road. They lost a couple heartbreakers, but to me, they need to get jump start after this win against Florida, and they play Columbus on the road tomorrow, and then New Jersey at home on Sunday, and I think that's a good place for them to start. But I don't know. What do you think about the Rangers to start?
Uh, I want to see the young kids do better. Like, these are
Yeah.
premier draft picks, and I know they're very young. But I'm ready to see like a game where one of them lights it up, like Kako
Yeah.
scores a hat trick, or it doesn't have to be consistency, but I'd like to see them, step it up. I feel like they're playing, below what they can do. Shesterkin has kept them in games.
This guy is
He's been unbelievable.
phenomenal.
But I feel they're playing worse than their record says.
I agree with that, and I think that's why it's so exciting when they will get started. And I think even though they gave up two late goals and made the game against Florida look way closer than it should, I do want to get on the Rangers about that. But Florida is also the best team in the NHL, so I'm not gonna question the Rangers for a minor breakdown at the end of the game when they're up by 3 goals. But they are living
They
off
didn't
of
play good that game though.
they played phenomenal the first 2 periods. And then after that, the third period was not a good showing. I agree. And they're living off 3 players right now. And these 3 players are playing phenomenal. And that is Shesterkin and Fox,
Yeah.
who we believe to be there, and Chris Kreider, who leads the league with 6 power play goals and has 9 goals, tied for third in the league. I love him. Don't know why he's not the Rangers captain. We've talked about that many times. This guy is amazing, and he talks a lot of crap, and I like it. And I love Reeves, and I love all their pickups in Goodrow, and it's just making me. I feel like saying salivate is kind of like weird to say, but I'm so excited for when Zibanejad and Panarin, like they're not playing terrible, but when they
No,
turn it
no,
on,
but they're gonna run
they have
into a
another
hot streak.
gear.
Yeah, and when it happens, it's gonna be awesome.
I
But
mean,
they gotta play
Zibanejad's got
defense too.
3 goals, and I don't. He has points, but the goals. I'm waiting for the goals from Panarin and Zibanejad. They're hitting the score sheet, but not in the ways you expect it. And I'm waiting for when this power play gets going, and when those two players get going. Their defense is fine. Andre Miller, one of the which a beauty the other day against the Panthers, all by himself. No one helped on that play. It was all him. Their defense is incredible. They've actually played really well this year. I like Truba's physicality. I love Lindgren and Fox. I like Andre Miller, and I like Nemeth. And I'm the only guy I would say like I undecided on is whether it's Hayek, Lundqvist, or Tenorti playing that last spot on defense. But who cares? Um, but yeah, I'm waiting for a little breakout game from like I feel like Heedle's playing better than Lafreniere and Kako, and it's
Yeah.
that fourth line's been good though. Heedle, Rooney, and Blay, that mix, really
Yeah, I've
good.
liked Blay for never really knowing anything about him. I've liked the way he's played.
And I'm not Buchnevich has 3 goals. I'm not missing those 3 goals, like
Well, I think
because
he was also very fortunate to play on the line with his line mates. You know.
oh yeah, and now the Rangers. I'm so excited. It's hard to explain. I can't wait for like when they get it's the best. Like when they went on a 13-game winning streak in 2020 and I got to go watch one of those games. That was probably one of the greatest moments of my life watching Zibanejad score forehand backhand on a breakaway. It's I can't wait for it. And the Rangers come to Carolina soon. I hate the Canes. My dad talks about the Canes all the time. They're 10-1. I don't care. They're gonna fall
It's
apart.
10-1
And
is shocking. There's some shocking teams
and
this year.
the worst thing is when they talk about Tony DeAngelo quarterbacking the power play, dropping bombs everywhere. We know it. I mean, he used to do it with Panarin
He
and
dropped a
stuff.
lot of bombs, all right.
But it's weird seeing like a lot, like, because I watch the games because we
Yeah.
get it because the market nearby, and watching Foss, like DeAngelo and these guys, I'm like, what's going on here? Like, it's just weird to watch those guys playing on the Canes, but they're gonna slow down. But
Yeah, I mean
regarding
the Panthers are 10-2. Like there's some crazy starts in this league. Hurricanes,
yeah,
like you said, are 10-1. It seemed like when the Rangers played on the West Coast, that was like Calgary. There's certain teams just seem like world beaters, you know?
well, I was like, I couldn't. My heartbeat could not slow down watching the Oilers game because it was like
Oh,
they are ridiculous. But you know what though? There's no way they win the Stanley Cup because I'm like, why am I shocked? Because they do this every year and they lose in the first round. So why am I shocked? It's just the same thing with the Leafs. But I think the overall thing here is 13 games in, with them being 7-3-3, not playing their best hockey. They're third in the Metro. Islanders, Pittsburgh, and Philly are the last 3 teams in the division, the Metro. The Islanders don't look good, despite all the hype about wow. Like,
but I think they'll turn it around.
who would have thought it would have been Carolina, Washington, Rangers, Devils as the top 4?
The Devils is
13
what
game.
really stands out to me. I don't know about
They're
you, but
not. But here's the thing, though. The Rangers haven't been playing their best hockey, and whether you want to argue it or not, they've not had an easy schedule. Like they haven't, and really, because
it's all
okay, you
about
could
getting points.
exactly, and as much as it hurts about the Oilers and the Canucks game, I mean not the Canucks game, but as much as it hurts about the Oilers game, they could have easily lost that in regulation, and that's what the difference is this year. Is they're getting those points, and that's what you need, and that will help them in the long run, seriously. And but like regarding their schedule, they have tomorrow night in Columbus against the Blue Jackets. Good team. That's a good team. At home against the Devils, need to win that. Don't care about their record. And then at home against the Canadiens, they're terrible. Road against the Maple Leafs, decent. Road against the Senators, terrible. Home against the Sabres, don't care how they start. We should destroy them every time. Road against the Islanders, you can win that if you get the weird Islanders. And then
I'm never a fan of like going through the whole schedule and guessing wins because like look at the football game last
it
night.
never happens. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like we would have been
I
Rangers
think you
beat the
could set
Canucks.
expectations and be like, I hope over the next 10 they go another 7-3. I'll take that, but
It's
you know,
just I think
when you go
I
line
think
by line, something's not going to go your way.
I think the big thing that the Rangers have to focus on this year on being a different team is, like you said, getting the points early too. Getting that early start, whether it's good or bad hockey, we needed that early start, and it's been a good start. 4 games above 500. The 3 overtime losses, that's fine. A couple of those could have been regulation losses. And the fact that they just need to start, what they need to continue doing is just win the games that you should win. Don't, and that's all you can do. And then play those games against the Panthers like that. Play those good teams like that. And with guys like Ryan Reeves, it brings. I don't know. I know the '94 Rangers could score a lot. I don't know how physical they were.
Oh yeah, they could take it.
The Rangers could just be thrown around last year, and I think they relied too much on their offense, gave up a lot of goals, and they were coached by an inexperienced head coach. This is the pack. This is the time. I don't know what I don't rebuild's not in my vocabulary when it comes to hockey anymore. So I don't really know what that means anymore because that's not what the Rangers are. So we don't have to worry about that. So
just because you said so.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what it means because I've never had to experience it. Well, I have, but yeah, it's hard to put into words because it's like a weird start. But
we're just saying we hope we're at the end of it.
I think we are though, because if you tell me that
If they're not, then they didn't do it right. They got a ton of draft picks. They picked a bunch of guys. Now you got to see the guys develop. They signed the key pieces. Shesterkin. They signed Zibanejad. Kreider's on a long-year deal. Yes, you'll have these young kids, but now is the window where you're supposed to be maybe not Stanley Cup contender, but you're supposed to be in the playoffs and getting them some experience in the playoffs to move on.
Yeah, and I think this is what bewilders me is that I look at the teams like the Knicks. Knicks are maybe doing it now, but I'm talking about the Knicks like from 7 years ago. And then with the Giants now, why are these teams not doing it right? Like I know hockey, basketball, and football, obviously completely different sports. But the Rangers did it right. They made the right draft picks, which is hard, but everyone has draft picks, whether it's first round or not. You have draft picks, and there's talent out there. They made the right draft picks, but then I think what the Giants have missed, and what the Knicks have missed, not really the Knicks, but with the Giants, is they made that free agency splash with Panarin, and I think the Giants thought that was Galladay, and it's not.
Well, we don't know. Galladay hasn't really played, so we'll see.
And the Rangers went from within is what I love about them is, and that's what is kind of annoys me at the Yankees because their success is, we know they've already talked about blowing it up in the free agent market this year. But when the talent like Judge comes from within, you love those guys. And guys like Zibanejad, I know they traded for him.
Yeah.
But he really started. Like he
was a bust. He was a bust in Ottawa.
But that's what I'm saying.
Bust. He was a disappointment.
But you look at guys like Kreider, Shesterkin, Georgiev through the system, Lundqvist through the system, and they're fan favorites. And then you bring guys like Reeves in. You also
got to get lucky with a guy like Fox who demands to be in New York. Like multiple teams wanted him, and he made it known that he'd only play for one. And he stayed in college 2 years, and then Carolina traded for him, and he told Carolina that he's not playing for Carolina. He'll finish off his school, and then he'll be a free agent.
Those are my four. And I have, because right now I have a Kreider and a Zibanejad jersey, and the Kreider jersey has a C on it, and I don't care because he is my captain. But Next, because I grew out of my
How did
Panarin
it get a
jersey again.
C on it?
Oh, I could because you could put it on
Oh,
through
gotcha.
like
You
online.
deemed him captain.
I didn't really care. And then I'm with like money I've made off of selling some of my old jerseys that don't fit, like some of my like old really old Yankees jerseys, which people actually buy, which is weird. But I'm gonna use some of that money to buy a Panarin jersey, and then I'm wishing for a Fox jersey for Christmas. And those are my four. Shesterkin might sneak in there. He
Yeah.
might sneak into those, but those guys, I mean, Fox just makes me like I don't even know. Like I've played sports before, and
Yeah.
you've played sports when you were a kid. You look at a scenario, and I like see Fox along the boards. There's two guys there, and I'm like, just like dump it off, and he just gets like you're like, did he just like just walk through someone? Like you
Yeah.
don't like it's like how did he do that? And that's
Yeah, he's super talented. It's awesome. It's going to be awesome to watch for what, 7 more years as he signed?
that's awesome. I think
Yeah. Just
he'll
stay healthy, man. Just stay healthy.
I love the hometown kids. But what do you? I have a question for you. What do you think about Georgiev? It's so
I
weird. I
think
don't
he's
really
good.
like.
I, I thought, we've seen a lot of goalies come, and Benoit Allaire seems to turn them. Either he has the eye for picking them, or he has the eye for or the skill for coaching them. But I mean, my whole life as a Ranger fan, I remember
Bad good
Van Spees.
goaltending.
There's been good goaltending, and even when there's moments where they thought they had a backup, and he wasn't a name or it wasn't that good, they played really good, and they've traded
Like
a
Keith
lot.
Kincaid. Who would have thought he would come over to the Rangers and be like good? Like
Well, I mean, you could go back a couple years, and there's guys I forget who they've traded.
Antiranta.
Like they've traded multiple goalies and got something out of pieces that people didn't think were anything beforehand.
They had when they went to the Cup in 2014. They had Cam Talbot, who I don't know where he is right now, but he was a very good starting goalie in the NHL for like the past 3 or 4 years before this year, before last year. You're right. Their backups have always been like
Some
either
it,
they. It's
I
weird.
yeah. Well, I just think that. Well, that's why I think it may be coaching. Because like you said, Kincaid, Georgiev played good. They go
Georgiev
back.
could start on many teams.
Yeah, and I thought they were going to trade him in the offseason also. But then you had Antirada, you're right. That was something. Then before that was Cam Talbot.
They had Pavlik, but he went nowhere.
You
He
had
was kind of a
Steve
no name.
Steve Valiquette, who you always see on ESPN. But
Here, I
like,
have to make a quick note on him. Go ahead. I'll make a note after.
no, go ahead. I'm curious to see what this note is.
I love Henrik Lundqvist being on MSG Networks, but what makes me laugh a little bit is when Steve Valiquette tries to talk about like goaltending in front of Lundqvist. Like, are you serious? Like, you were a backup for the Rangers.
Yeah, but
Lundqvist is a Hall of Famer. Like, this
I
guy
know, but
is.
they both played for the same coach in the same organization. He is an NHL goalie, and he knows.
But it's when he tries to
But he
say
knows
facts in front of Lundqvist. That's what makes me
But
laugh
he
because I'm
knows
like,
he knows how it should be played. He just wasn't as physically talented as Lundqvist.
well, that's
It
why I
wasn't
like.
I mean, that's like turning around to the coach and saying, "You can't tell me what to do because I'm better than you."
Yeah,
People
I
can know
love.
how it works and physically can't do it.
I hope, like, I love it at what MSG Networks is doing. I love Sam and I'm forgetting his name. It's John Micheletti, right? John.
Yeah,
I love them
Joe
together. Or Joe. Yeah, you're right. Right? Yeah.
Joe Micheletti.
Yeah. I know his last name's Micheletti. I don't know what his first name is. I like him. They're like they trip each other up sometimes, but their chemistry works together, so it's funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think,
And I love Bill Pito doing the 150, but John Giannone makes weird notes though. Like he's kind of like he's not really like a sports person in my opinion.
yeah,
Like that, he's kind of like a little odd. But I love when Lundqvist like talk because he could talk about guys like Zibanejad, Kreider, even Truba and Panarin and stuff. That's what I love about Lundqvist is he can make personal notes about that. I don't know why he doesn't do every game, but I think that's a
also as
great role
players,
for him.
you don't. There's a fine line about talking about your players and saying like, you don't want to tell certain things about them why they're playing too. Oh, he's really bad if you do this to him.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's
I played against him for 10 years, and every time he could, if you do this, he couldn't go left. And they're like, don't. He's not going to say anything negative like
yeah.
that. He's just going to tell an occasional funny story. And I think
Well,
Hank's pretty private about that stuff.
I love that position they put for him. I think it was great, and he said, like he says, he always wanted to work for the Rangers. No
I'm
one's gonna
glad he
remember.
never played for the
Yeah,
Capitals.
no one's ever gonna remember that because he was there and then wasn't. It's just the terrible crap seeing him post on his Instagram of Henrik Lundqvist 35 wearing Caps pads in practice. But um, just I think it was a perfect position for him. It still breaks my heart that he never won a cup because like he really carried the team, and that's what Shesterkin might be doing. But the Rangers are such a fun watch. I think to kind of end it with that, they're a fun watch, and hopefully they have playoff deep playoff runs this year, a deep playoff run this year. I think they can. I think they just have to play right at the right time because they have the team. Like these guys, like Goodrow. I love the physicality. I don't care about roughing penalties. Like I don't care about those.
They're
I
going to
know.
happen.
Yeah, but it's growth for the Rangers, and Reeves is awesome. Like you already see in their Instagram, they post him in the locker room pregame. It's all like the team is just like this is what I envisioned. Like
Yeah.
everything. Like I was like,
Well,
this is
still early. It's a long season. That's what I learned. Just don't get too crazy. As long as they're in that, they're doing okay. No one's getting hurt. There's
yeah.
time. When you get to that midpoint, that's where you got to, turn it up. You got to be
Well,
hot at the end.
that's why I've been on my dad. I was like, I want to get like I want to get close. Because I said I was like, we're not since I didn't go to the Yankees playoff game. I saved up money for that. So that means I want to see these guys right here, these massive guys in front of me in Carolina, because I know they're gonna win because I'm 3-0 at the games I've gone to.
Oh, kiss of
But
death there.
but yeah, I
With
also have
that,
to give an important note out
quick note.
to my favorite Yankee ever. That I don't know why they didn't sign, but it's understandable. And Brett Gardner,
Yeah.
who I
Did he?
always love.
He didn't announce his retirement, did he?
I know, but he's not going
Yeah.
to be. Most likely, they
They
won't. They
said
could
that.
still work out a deal, but it
They
won't.
said that last year. Wait till spring training before you say goodbye.
I still have to say I love Brett Gardner because he's he's the only sports player like in like major sports that's actually like pointed at me or actually looked at me, and that's when he gave like a ball, and you just like make eye contact. So
Wally
he,
Backman was my first guy that I really met.
yeah, I also look Greg Bird in the eye, but he's also not good at all. So
Hey, what a
that's all I'm
bust.
impressed. But the Knicks about to be at halftime. They're up by 13. Kemba Walker, thanks for 2 points in the second quarter after 17 in the first.
Hey, I'll
But
take 19 points a game from him anyway. It could be any quarter what you want.
but yeah, hopefully the Rangers pick up some 2 dubs this weekend. I don't know if we're talk on Sunday. Maybe it might be next week because the Giants are off this week, so there's not much to talk about.
Well, we'll see next
But
day, Matty. It's been good talking to you. I love you, buddy.
love you too. See you guys next week.
See you later.